Good evening and welcome. It's Matthew David, the Minister of Allowing. Let me see what is going on tonight out there. If you're going to join me, just let me know you're here and I'll look for your comments out there. Let's see how my sound quality is. Good evening and welcome. Let me see. Decent. All right. Excellent. So I'll just wait and see if anybody decides to join tonight. I'm sure some people will be here. And then we can get into some of the talk. We're going to talk about success, achievement, goals. Here's how to do it in 2020. We're going to talk all about it tonight. So you're going to like this talk. I'm imagining you will. All right. So I don't see any comments. There we go. I see some comments. I got to get this. There we go. Let's open up this thread and then I can see. Here's how to do it in 2020. We're going to talk all about it tonight. Hold on one second. You're going to like this talk. I'm imagining you will. All right. So we got Steph we got Andrea and Ryan, John, Sergio, Bobby, Dave Fontaine. Welcome. So obviously, as you guys know, we got some new announcements, some breakthroughs coming. Let me start right off, by saying I know not everybody can make it to this workshop, but there will be a live stream option that you can watch this workshop live from the comfort of your home. But here's the catch. It doesn't come at a substantial discount. And it's not going to be easier to watch at home. This is only as a last-ditch option if you can't catch the last workshop that I'm going to do this year for Spiritual Special Forces Peak Performance, because you're going to want this one. And the reason why I'm going to tell you that is because I've been downloading left and right with all this new stuff, and it's making massive, massive breakthroughs and changes. I got on this trajectory about a year and a half ago where I started taking in a lot of, Gnostic gospels and a lot of the ancient Hebrew. And I have to tell you guys, like, what it's done for flow state for me has been out of this world. It's just been out of this world. And so a lot of things have happened since then, including 43 new pages that turned into a whole new workbook with whole new teaching. Like, this is like a whole new thing. And I'm so excited about it. And I'm going to talk to you about some stuff tonight. It's not just going to all be about the workshop, but what I want to tell you guys is if you can't make it live, you should catch it live on the internet. Okay. Because we're going to also stream it. And if you want to catch the stream, here's how it works. You can participate in the workshop streaming at home. And you can also get a 5-hour pack with me afterward. So that way you can watch all the modules that come through and you can go over it. And what you'll get at the end, everybody who attends in person and everybody who attends live online, is you'll get the recording of it. And you're going to want this because when we master these videos, the training sheets are so in depth that you're going to want to watch this again and again and again. Now, I can't give away all the good news of what it does, like when you apply some of this stuff, but lots of things have been really happening fast in my world. And what I'll tell you is just one small example is this matrix recode. It seems to be a very fast shortcut to the unconscious. And so last night, I went in and actually 2 nights in a row. So I broke 2 personal strength and fitness records 2 nights in a row. And it felt like it wasn't even really hard, to be honest with you. And so a lot of that comes with all of this new training, the new consciousness. So I did 2 nights ago, I did 2,020 push-ups and I had a weight vest on, 25-pound weight vest on. And for me, that was a new record because I time it. I have to get it all done within a certain period of time. The most I did was 2 years ago in the same time frame. I did 1,500, and I did it this time with the weight vest and 2,000. So to me, that was really, really an impressive benchmark achievement. Then the next night, I decided I was going to, get on the treadmill, and I wanted to just go a full hour, 7 miles, 7 miles an hour, just 7 miles an hour for a full hour. Now, to me, that's actually a record for me because my mind hates running. I can sprint, I can do 5 miles, stop, start, all this and that, but I hated running. Okay. My mind would say, we're bored, let's quit, get off, we're done. And this time I got my mind to want to do it. It was so easy. I actually enjoyed it. So tonight I'm going to go back and I'm going to crank out not an equal 7, but I'm going to do 5 tonight. And then next time I do it, I'm going to go 8 miles in an hour. So I'm going to go 8 miles an hour, and I'm going to go for a full hour and crank out 8 miles. So I'm going to crank it up an extra mile an hour. And so that's pretty competitive at 40, I'll be 43 years old. And so I'm smashing records in my physical, which is incredible for me, but that's not everything else that's going on. Everything else that's going on is also equally as extraordinary. But it's not really because of me. You see, what I'm learning is I'm learning how to let God work. Just let God do everything. Really just let God do everything. So what I would describe spiritual special forces is it's the time in your life when you finally stop doing you and you start letting God be the only reality. That's really what it is. It's when you stop showing up with all of the problems in your human sense and you start letting God just take over. So by the way, welcome Rosalie, welcome Randy. Let's see, Anthony, Casey, Arlette. So there are some other things. There is so much training here. I have to talk about it because I got to get everybody prepared. There's going to be so much that's going to come at you. Like you have never seen a workshop like this. I don't care what workshop you've been to, you ain't seen nothing like this before. I promise you. Now, here's the thing. I've been to workshops. I've been to, the big names, you name them. I went to go see them, okay? I love associating with other people in a tribe, and I think that was the main value I've ever gotten from any of the big name workshops. I never really got any use value, because everything was so diluted and watered down in such a huge audience, okay? And that's why we always cap our audience. Okay. Now, what I want to tell you is we reached our cap about 5-6 days ago. We already have a full audience for this workshop. It's already full. Now, I'm going to allow some additional people to come because we can handle a few more. But I want to let you know it's already been sold out. I just haven't said anything. And that's the nature of how we've been crushing goals left and right. And that's the nature of this new training. It's off the chain. Every area where I've been setting a goal using this new training, it's been crushing it. Okay. But it's not hard. That's the thing. It's not struggle anymore. It's super allowing is what it is. So welcome, Anisha. Welcome, Angel and Sasha. And now I don't want to, it's not, so you guys got to understand, it's not Matthew David Hurtado. I don't want to pat myself on the back. It's not me. I'm not a guru. I'm not your alpha male. I'm not that guy. What I'm telling you is I'm so passionate about God and I'm so sold on the principles of what's in that Bible of yours that everybody has access to, that when you really dig into it and you really start to understand what the thing's telling you from, it's like when you start to act from it, there's so much power in that gospel. The gospel is the power. It is the power. So let's talk about some highlights. Let me show you a couple of things that I think you'd be fascinated in, why you'd want to take this live at home or why you'd want to be here in person. Now, personally, I'd rather be here in person because there's nothing that compares to having that interaction face-to-face, okay? So let's talk about some of the goodies that are coming. And let me show you some of the things. So first of all, you can see right here, I'm going to give away all of my secrets when it comes to, how you can launch businesses, build traffic, etc. Now, I don't market and advertise on Facebook and YouTube. I'm going to teach you how to make money running a business, right? Because most people that really make money selling products, they actually don't want to tell you. I don't want to advertise and start doing that because that's how those people make all their money is off advertising and selling the course as opposed to running the actual business. I'm serious. That's how the game's played. Okay. But I've been doing this for years and years. I want to teach this to you at my workshop, and I've taught it already to some people, but I'm going to show you how to set it and launch it with some of these videos. Look at this one here. Just take a look at this one video. It's, you know, it sells on autopilot. So you got here, this one right here, 2018. See, I'm 2 years behind. I haven't even made a 19 and a 20. Now, you see, I want to sell the company. That's why I don't want to run products anymore. I have other things I'm doing. My focus has changed, but I can easily put up another video like this and drive traffic, et cetera, et cetera. But 32,900, you know, views. Okay. 597 likes. So you can see what happens here is this sells automatically. Okay. What it does is it goes right to a website. Okay. And in fact, all I got to do is put that link right there and fix that around tonight. It'll make the optimization a lot better. And it sells automatically all day, every day. Okay. So who else would like to sell products all day, every day? Well, the secret is you got to have traffic. You got to have traffic. Now, here's the other thing. Here's another one. Here's another one right here. Let me pull over to the staging here. This one, let's go ahead and take a look. I want to show you this right here. 2018. You see, I haven't even done this in 2 years. I'm like behind the 8 ball. I got to catch up. So welcome, Bruce. Welcome, Marisol. Welcome, Lawrence. You have the 2018 top sex appeal review. Well, who do you think that is on the first page of YouTube, which is the second largest search engine? It's basically Google. 296,000 views. So roughly 150,000 views a year. Okay. Now, out of 150,000 views a year, you have 150,000 divided by 365, 410 views a day. Guys, how would you like to have 410 people come through your store every single day, even if only a few, 3, 4, 5, 10, whatever buy every single day, right? Because look, here's the deal. I don't pay for advertising. I don't pay for advertising ever, anywhere. This is not paid. That's the unique thing about what I do when I build businesses. I don't pay to advertise. Advertising sells advertising. So I'm not a fan of using a lot of advertising. And people say, well, you can't scale a business without it. And I'd say, well, I've never had to scale. I just go vertical or horizontal and build more businesses. And that increases the cash flow without paying any advertising costs. See, I think outside of the box. I don't care what traditional people say about anything. You don't have to do things the traditional way. Now, here's another thing. I'm going to show you guys the most effective strategy in all of existence right now in this real hot, red hot time is building Facebook groups. I'm going to show you videos on how to do it. I have a whole series of how to build these from the ground up. Now, why would you want to do this? Well, let me show you. You can go down here, look at 6 more people want to join this group. So we just add them all quick. There was more than that actually, but look at this right here. I have 9,802 members, but I want you to see the group insights. So look at this over the last 60 days. You can see this. Now watch this. We were back here in November with 800 members. And then you can see by the December, 2,800. By the end of the year, 3,500, and right here, 8,964. So the lifeblood of all business, if you want a business, is always traffic. Now, what I'll do is I'll end up selling this group. I don't want to run a nomad group, but I'll sell it with probably 300,000 members in it, and it'll be primed to make, you know, 50,000, 100,000 a month, etc. Because it's all about monetizing traffic. And so, realistically, let me show you something else. I want to show you what I want you see. This is okay. It's hard for me even to explain to people that don't understand how efficient this is, what they're even looking at. Most people don't even have a clue what they're looking at unless they've been in business for a while and they understand the realities of what they're saying. See, most people say, oh, I want to make money from home. I want to make money from home. They don't even know what they're talking about. They think that most people think this, okay? Most people think this. They think, I'll get a website. And you know what I'll do? Then I'll get a product Okay, so then they got a website and a product. And then I'll find someone to sell it to. That is the exact opposite approach of what really works in real life. See? It does, you don't build a website and find a product and then find out who to sell it to. That is absurd. That is the worst way to possibly ever build a business, ever. And that's why, like network marketing companies, they're, in my opinion, are the worst businesses you could ever do. Absolute worst. Why? Because they give you a website and a product and they tell you to go sell them. Well, who did you know that was looking for them before you went to go try to sell it to them? Nobody. And the price, it's just, it doesn't make any sense. It's all backwards. It's all backwards. All right. So let me show you a different way to do this. Okay. So what I'm going to teach you is I'm going to teach you how to build this right here. See this right here? Traffic. And so what happens is you build a huge amount of traffic, and then you have this little stair-step model like this. And I'm going to show you how to build an entire business around this right here is you. I'm going to show you who you are, what you're designed to do so your passion can come out, how to tap into huge pools of traffic, how to think like, what they call a serial entrepreneur, and how to strategize every single point of your business, from your free awareness offers right here, like your PDFs you can create, your free video, all these things, to your $7 course, to your $197 course, to your $2,000 workshop, to your work with me for $50,000 a year, etc. And what's great about this is that every step of the way, if you do it right, it's win-win for everybody that's involved. You're building a huge relationship business with a ton of people. And that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants this. Everybody wants this. But yet very few people will put any skin in the game to actually come learn from somebody who could teach them how to do it. And that's the sad part. And that's okay. I'm okay with it, because there's an expert around every corner that wants to sell you a $2,500 course, a $5,000 course, a $500 course, doesn't matter. But the question is are they really making any profit at the end of the day after they spend money on their advertising? Not many of them are, actually. They're spending money on advertising, and advertising has gone through the roof. And since day one, I don't spend money on advertising. This was different about it. I want to show you those secrets. I want to teach you how to do that. And I'm going to go all out. Now, that's that. That's business ended, because I know a lot of people are interested in a lot of money. And, you know that you're going to have to do something different if you want to make a lot of money. Welcome, Phil. Welcome, Matt Smith. Brian, welcome. Thomas Ritchie, Melinda. So let me show you something else about this. By the way, this website right here, you got to listen and watch this video if you're considering, well, should I watch this at home? Should I check out what he has to say and attend the workshop at home, or should I come in person? I'd say come in person, but if you can't, I'd say get with Sabrina and figure out how you can watch it at home. It's at matrixrecode.com, and there's the number if you got to call Sabrina. I really feel in my heart of hearts you should at least listen to this webinar video I made. All of this is free flow. I don't like script this thing out and spend a week scripting it. I sit down and I just talk. And this is just me talking to you, like face to face through the computer, saying, listen, let me tell you why you want to come. All right. So I want you to check out Matrix Recode when you're done with this, whenever you want. Just if you're serious about it. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. Now, here's another thing. Coming to the workshop, we have a former U.S. Navy SEAL, SEAL Team 6. Very, very, very fascinating guy. He's one of my mentors. He's a new mentor I've had for a bit. And you see, when I want to achieve a goal, I go find somebody who's done it. And that's how I do this. And so I look for people who achieve the impossible with, their human strength, that they turn to something bigger than themselves. You see, I find these people. And so the guy coming to teach is former U.S. Navy SEAL Michael Jayco. And you can see in this video, he talks about how he broke waterboarding. And, this guy is the real life James Bond. You say, well, you watch James Bond. Well, who are these guys? Well, they're MI6 in the movie, but, Navy SEALs are higher than MI6 in terms of training and acumen. And this guy is one of the best of the best, and very, very enlightened, very spiritual. He teaches love. Imagine that. He's all about love. Okay. But he's going to come and he's going to teach. He's going to be present with us. And he's going to teach these unbeatable mindset skills that the SEALs have. I mean, imagine this. Imagine you could start your adult life all over again, right? Let's say maybe you screwed your whole adult life up, or you didn't get where you wanted to be, or maybe you're older than you thought you'd be at this point in your life. And you're thinking, gosh darn it, I want to do something epic in my life at least one time before it's too late. Have you ever felt that way? That you want to do something epic at least one time in your life before it's too late? Well, here's something epic you could do. I don't care if you're in the UK, Australia, Great Britain. I don't care where you're coming from. We've had people from Australia, UK, all over the world fly into these workshops. Fly into a workshop. Do something outside of your normal, comfort zone, first of all, and do something extraordinary and come and learn from extraordinary people. Come and learn from people who have achieved things that are so beyond what the average person could do that you can't help but be raised to the next level. You see what I'm saying? You can't help but be raised to the next level. Or just keep pretending that you can sit at home and watch YouTube videos and do nothing about it, because that's what most people do year after year after year. Information is nothing. Transformation is everything. Information will do nothing for you if you don't learn skill sets in order for the whole structure of you to operate in a new way. And you got to go live. See, here's the big thing. You can't train to be great in a sterile environment. So you can't sit in your comfort zone and pretend that it's going to be the same as going live. Okay? The reason why I went from 0 to 7 figures real quick when I needed it, back when I recovered from Lyme disease and I was bankrupt, is because I wasn't practicing. My life depended on it. I had to go live. It was go live or die. And so I was going live real quick. And see, that's the kind of scenario that you have to create in order to get yourself into that position. So either create it or don't. But you can't sit here and keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect different results. And I say that with love. Now, I'm excited because I smashed fitness goals all year long since 2020 started. Now, that's not my ultimate goal of goals, but you see, how you do anything is how you do everything. How you do anything is how you do everything. How you approach anything is how you approach everything. So, who wants to be epic in 2020? If you want to be epic, I had everybody put their goals on the Facebook wall. Who wants to really achieve their goals? So Rosalie says, I would like to start my adult life over again. I'm truly stepping out of my comfort zone, but I'm doing it. Good. You must get out of your comfort zone. You absolutely must. Okay. So welcome, Beverly. So this is the secret. The secret is you have to model greatness. God bless my grandfather. My grandfather was a very, very tough man. He was an immigrant. He was not from this country, most likely an illegal immigrant, never got caught. But the thing is that he was badass. I'm going to tell you that right now. He was the real deal. He was the real deal. And I'm sorry I threw a swear word in, but I'm saying, I remember throwing up on hockey practice on picture day. I had the flu. I got in that car. I had to go to hockey practice. My grandpa's way of doing things was, if you weren't dead, well, then you're on schedule. If you're not lying 6 feet under, you're still up. It's still your set. It's time to play. And anytime that I didn't give 100, I don't care whether it was a practice or a real game or school, if I didn't give 100, that was not acceptable. And then I learned that is actually how most winners actually operate, because Bob Suter coached me as I grew up throughout the years. And I remember Bob saying, listen, he pulled me over and he knew that I cared. And he said, okay, you see that guy over there? And this guy's, was on our team. He was slacking off. And Bob said, I want you on the next play to go take his head off. I want you to go just knock him right out. And so, you know, I was a defenseman and I was an enforcer. My job was basically to take you out. And I was quarterbacking the plays from the, you know, from the slot as a defenseman. And so he goes around the net, you know, and he's loafing. He's just like, you know, slacking. I come flying in. I straight up knocked him out. I just straight up took his head right off. And see, that's how Bob would do you. Bob would do you like that. He'd put a mafia hit on you in the middle of the ice if you were representing mediocrity. If you represented mediocrity under his authority, he'd put a hit on you right on the ice. So you didn't have the courage to do that more than once. You do that one time, you learn. You do it 2 times, you don't play. That's how Bob worked it. You don't play. You sit on the bench. And I remember I got caught partying 1 time, okay? And I got caught partying 2 times. Now, I was all-state defenseman. What do you think Bob did when he caught me? Yeah, we were in the playoffs and I sat on the bench. He made me sit down and watch the whole game in the middle of the playoffs. He did not. He was going to prove a point. See, he was so good at shaping people into winners that he was principle-oriented. Even in the middle of that type of game, he wasn't going to break, you know, his stride with his principles. And that's how real people operate. So Anisha wants to be epic. Good. Melinda, yes. Beverly, I know Beverly wants to be epic. And Brian wants to be epic. And you know what's funny about this is you talk about being epic and you get like 20 people that watch the video. I mean, the world is such a pathetic joke right now. It's like what David Goggins says. It's so easy to crush it because nobody's even trying anymore. It's like, it's pathetic out there. I went to go eat I'm going to say it. I just went to a Qdoba. It was the worst experience of my life. Everybody working behind the counter was totally in a terrible attitude. They were awful, awful employees. They should have all been fired a long time ago, in my opinion. The soda machine was broken. Okay. They didn't care. The burrito came watery and they didn't even make it in the shape of a burrito. They rolled it up like this. They made it look like a ball. And when you cut into it, it just bled out water. So this is the first time I've ever done this in my life, ever. I've never returned food except for this time. I just returned the whole thing and I demanded my money back. It was the worst experience I've ever had in a fast food restaurant. And there were 4 people working, 4 adults working there. And not one single one of them had the brain capacity to realize that they're destroying someone else's business from the inside out. Someone else with their blood, sweat, tears, and courage probably put up a lot of their skin in the game to put that place together and trusted it to these people who are just rotting it out from the inside out. And there's so much of that going on that what the world needs right now are real men. Okay? I'm going to tell it to you like it is. Real men need to show up. All right? And so what Spiritual Special Forces is it's the bringing back real men to the planet. Okay? Now, I'm not just saying men, but I'm talking about women, men. I'm talking about getting back to the values that actually built a great infrastructure that we consider. We say we have all these freedoms. Well, where did they come from? They came from great people that actually fought hard to protect and preserve them. And now we've got all this laissez-faire laziness and mental sluggishness and just, oh, it's okay, entitlement. And you know what? I am so grateful that I had my grandfather and Bob Suter, and I had some good men that brought me up in this life, because what I see out there is tragic. It's absolutely tragic. And you know where it starts? It also starts with your physical well-being too. All right? If you don't have vitality in your body, you don't have wealth. You don't have wealth if you don't have vitality. If you're not healthy, you're not wealthy, period. And so what would you consider healthy? It's freedom of expression to do what you want to do, to move about in this life the way that you want to move about in this life. And so many people are lacking in that department. And the reason why is, for some reason, it's become socially acceptable. It's become socially acceptable to be totally negligent, okay, in first here, your thought life, okay? Watch TV all day, 3 to 5 hours of TV every day. That stuff is absolute toxic. Program. And then sit around all day. Don't move the body. Don't do anything physical. It's too much work. You see, and then you approach the situation with life in terms of how you approach that. And then you know what? You're going to find out that's too much work to actually build a business or actually go try to make something of yourself because you're not conditioned for it. You've never had to step up. You've never had to prove yourself to yourself to find out what you're truly made of. So you have no clue what's inside. You can't find what's inside. You can't find greatness until you break that shell of weakness. And that shell of weakness is always fear. Fear is the problem. Remember, we have nothing to fear but fear itself. Well, it seems we made a big giant loop right back to the old Great Depression again, where the only thing we have to fear is fear itself, haven't we? So, I am way too nice, aren't I, Brian? I'm not going to swear and I'm not going to do people like that, okay? Because the truth is that I want to be respectful and I want to be honest at the same time. And you know what? I say a couple swear words here and there because they'll slip out, but I got to be real with you. It's like this. If you don't have what you say you want, I'm going to tell you the truth. It's because you're not willing to pay the price to have it. And so if that's okay, then you should just be okay with it because you're not going to get it. All right? Just be okay with not having it because it's not going to happen. Now, listen to me say that again. I'm just going to say it with love in my heart. If you don't have what you say you want, it's because you're not willing to pay the price for it. So whoever's in your life that looks up to you and loves you or is with you because they see something great in you, and you've been talking about something you're going to do for a long time, I want you to be real, probably for the first time in a long time, and I want you to go look them in the eyes, even if it's just yourself, if you're all alone, and I want you to say this. Hey, the reason I don't have what I've been saying I want is because I'm not going to pay the price for it. I'm not willing. And that'll be the most honest thing that you've ever said in a long time. Okay? And then all that other commentary can just go away. You can just wash it right off the table. It doesn't matter anymore. At least you told the truth, and now we just accept it. Okay? And that's all there is to it. And so the lesson for tonight is, look, success, achievement, goals, the reason why you don't have what you say you want to have is because you're not willing to pay the price for it. Period. End of story. You don't know what the price is? I'll tell you what it is. It's called focus, determination, mentorship, training, skills. You were given godlike power. You can't fail if you know who you are. So the first thing you want to do is figure out who the heck you are and what power you're deriving yourself from. If you think your ego is the power, well, then you're caught in the loop. You're caught in the loop of chasing your own tail. You'll never get there. But if you know your spirit is in charge and you know where the kingdom is and you know how to operate from the kingdom, well, then you can't fail. So what's the price? What's the price? Wisdom. And you might need to sweat a little bit. And I'll only say that with love because, again, it's not that hard work is necessary. It's like when I build a company, it's not like I'm working hard. I'm not, it's like, but I am. And the reason why I'll go run 7 or 8 miles and I'll go do these things and then I'll work out on top of it, it's not to try to be like a bodybuilder. I'm past those days. I don't care. I'm usually covered up anyway. But it's because I know what it feels like to hit a mental wall, and I know what it feels like to recode this thing up here and to push right through that wall, and then to know that I did it, and that builds an identity. And that identity is what you live in. You live in the identity. So if you say you're going to do something and you do it, then you have good self-esteem. But if you keep saying you're going to do something and you won't pay the price, then you have a lack of self-esteem And that will always show up in your pocketbook. It'll show up in your love life. It might even show up in your body. It might even make you really sick because you're not being true to the game with yourself. Now, you're born of greatness. The question is, what are you going to do about it? You see, Rosalie's coming to the workshop. Good for you, Rosalie. You've got to pay the cost to be the boss. You know that, Anisha. You have to. Brian says, I'm over here fasting, working out, building 3 businesses, making daily incredible progress. I remember our conversation, Brian. I'm proud of you. Like you said you were going to do it, and you're doing it. That's what I'm talking about. If you say you're going to do it, then you have to do it. You have to do it. You can't afford to keep telling people you're going to do it and not do it anymore because it's not affecting them. It's affecting you. It's making you look bad to you. It's making you look bad to you because then you can't set any more goals because your mind knows that you set 500 other ones and you didn't do them. So your mind's like, whatever, dude. You just, yeah, we'll throw that one in the garbage too. We'll just keep doing what we're always doing. Hey, by the way, let's go get some chocolate. Let's go watch some Netflix, man. This is good. Pleasure. Yes. Remember those false start ghettos I talked about? That's where all those come in. The false start ghettos come right in there. Yeah. You don't really need to go run 7 miles tonight. Why don't you just go have a couple of ho-hos? You know what I mean? Like that's actually a quick sugar high. It makes you feel better. But see, we're not always about that. So your mission. So here's the secrets. Your vision creates the provision. Okay. So if you say, I don't have enough money in my world. Well, your vision's too small. Your vision's too small. And by the way, tally up how much you gave this year and tally up how much you received. And you might find a correlation that's pretty shocking to you. Small giver, small receiver. Big giver, big receiver. See, the thing is that I've discovered the secret of what happens in all places where there's poverty. You want to know what it is? They're all self-centered. They're all focused on on themselves. It's always about themselves. A collective group of focusing on their own human. I got to get mine. I got to get mine. That's the message. I got to get mine. That's so anti-God. That's so opposite of how creation was made. Because what blesses one blesses all. So the vision you have, if it's all about you, well, that vision is so tiny. That's the tiniest vision in the world. See, if the vision you have is all about you having a mansion and a Lamborghini and a couple things, that vision is so tiny. It's nothing. And if you do get it by some stroke of luck, it's going to be meaningless because it's really not the way that you're designed to live. Now, I'm not saying those things aren't good, but I've already experienced this and I already know what it's like. When you are here to change the world and to serve and to make things for other people that make their lives delicious, and you live from that place, if that's what drives you, then your vision will be matched with God's provision. You see, your vision, when it's in alignment with the will of God, will be matched with God's provision. And that's the secret of attracting flow. If you need cash flow, if you need things like that. Welcome, Abel. So welcome, Heather. So anyway, your vision has to be rooted in that identity, and your identity has to be, in Christ. You have to know who you are. I'm not talking about a man who died on a cross with blood all over the place and a stick figure. I'm talking about the risen Christ. I don't care about the man Christ that died on the cross. That he came to sacrifice that, because that's the wooden statue that lives under 800 million statutes in this country. That's Romans 8, the law of sin and death in the flesh. All flesh is condemned to death by sin. You're not a meat suit body. And as long as you keep identifying as a meat suit body, then you get to get all the curses that come on that body. That's how I slipped out of Lyme disease and never went back, because I'm not a meat suit body. See, I got into some spiritual principles and I just rode that journey and let God melt away all the symptoms like a hot stick of butter melting on the plate. Because those spiritual principles are eternal. They don't go away. What Jesus did apparently 2,000 some years ago is still happening. It doesn't ever change because the nature of God never changes. God never changed. So that's why when people say, oh, well, I don't think I can heal. It's like, yeah, well, the part of you that just thought that is the sin itself. The part of you that just thought you can't heal is the sinner. So why don't you go ahead and kill that part of you, because that part needs to go. Because unless you lose your life, you shall never gain it. You must rise in Christ, which means you must know that you're a spiritual being. You don't have a physical life. And that sounds ridiculous to the five senses, but the five senses are mockery to God. So you contemplate these things and you become what you contemplate. So as long as you keep contemplating symptoms in your body and all these other treatments and all this other stuff, you're contemplating sin, so you're going to get more sin. But as soon as you start contemplating perfection, harmony, love, and the attributes of God, you start reflecting those attributes back to God. Now you're starting to contemplate what's real, spirit, eternal, and you start to demonstrate those qualities, and you start to become quickened, and your body becomes the light body, and all of a sudden those symptoms start melting right before your lying eyes. I'm not saying that. I'm telling you because I walked through it. People think I make this stuff up. Like, it's like, oh, it sounds good. It sounds good when you say it. It actually feels better when you do it. So Heather says, I'm growing the network of love and helping others who are helping me. Good. Love is the answer to everything. Welcome, Randy. So anyway, the talk tonight is real basic, real general. I don't need to get into any deep esoteric stuff. I'm so deep on this workshop, my mind is done. It's like when a doctor has to come back from practicing and they have to go watch cartoons or something stupid because they're so overdone with all of their logical brain. Well, I'm actually just overdone with all of it. Flow state, logical brain, a lot of that stuff's been coming out. So right now I'm just flowing it out and just talking to you like I would if I was a coach. So I got my coach hat on. And what I'm telling you is, well, I really appreciate you guys. I want to tell you that first. I really appreciate everyone that supports this ministry. And we have, I think, 259 or 260 some videos over the past year and 2 months, something like that have been produced. And they're all on library.tv now, which is on the blockchain. So they're archived for forever. So it doesn't really matter if YouTube says goodbye or whatever. I don't give a shit about them no more. Who cares? They're already out the door. The blockchain is here and all that other stuff is gone. It's just a matter of time. All this centralized corruption stuff is already gone. Blockchain is here. It's here to stay. It's going to change everything. So what I'm saying is the legacy that I wanted to build with the ministry is complete. And I'll continue to teach the legacy, and I'll continue to teach the principles. And all three workshops are complete. The Spiritual Millionaire, the Clandestine Spiritual Mystic, the Spiritual Special Forces. God told me all of these things that were going to come through me a long time ago, and now they're here. And so this is amazing. It's just amazing. And Anisha, yes, I appreciate you for saying that I figured it out. It's really, I didn't really figure anything out. I just gave my heart to God. And I said, God, all I want is you. And I mean it. I am serious. I don't care about any of this crap in this world. I don't even care, to be honest with you. The world could just collapse one day. And as long as I have God, I could care less. I don't care about any of the things of this world. I'm here to love God and to teach it and to help others who need to find that path. Because once the cares of this world grow strangely dim, and they will, I promise you, life gets really good at that point because you're not a slave to it anymore. You can have anything that you don't grasp. See, you try to grasp water, it scatters right out of your hand. And that's what happens when you try to grab something in life. When you chase it, it runs away. But when you just allow it to just come lay down at your feet, well, then it all lays down at your feet. And it's just beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. So, yay. Good job, Sabrina. Good job, everybody involved. We sold out our workshop about 5 days ago, by the way. We're already sold out. So I, at this point, am feeling amazing because it's like, hey, I feel like this workshop is complete. All of the training got finished today. I laid out all of this stuff today. I'll get it all finished. And I'm like, praise you, God. Praise you, God. Thank you for letting me bring this teaching. It is powerful. I'm teaching it to my son already, by the way. So the way that I teach my ministry, and this is why I tell it the way it is. I know I hear a lot of stories, and people read the Bible, so they read it like these people were actually telling a real story with people and all this and that, and they call, fasting and foods and all this stuff. If you believe all that stuff, I mean, yes, God will reach you through those messages. Amazingly enough, God will reach you at whatever level of consciousness you're on. But I teach the way that I do, that if I weren't here today, see, I had the experience of hindsight to show me how important it is to leave a legacy. My grandfather raised me at 12, and he died real fast of a real aggressive cancer. And he told my grandma on my deathbed, as I was watching him and I was swallowing the tears, my second father that was leaving my life, and he said to my grandmother, make sure he lives his dreams. Don't let him settle. And he died just like that. It was just a few months and he was dead. It was really awful. It was so painful to watch that happen. And that legacy he left me was that when you want to do something, get it done. Don't screw around. Don't waste time, because you're going to find out that you don't have any. You're going to find out that unless you chase after God, if you're on the spiritual path, unless you get serious about God and you get serious about the spiritual principles, and they do bring money, by the way, they bring all forms of prosperity. Unless you get serious about it, well, what are you doing? Like, what are you focused on? Because if God is all in all, well, why wouldn't you focus on God? Why wouldn't you chase after that? That's the ultimate goal of goals. I mean, wisdom is everything. So the wisdom that I've been given by God is the most delicious thing that I've ever received in this whole life. And so my goal of goals, really, the reason why I was excited is because my ministry is taught. I did it. I achieved what I wanted to do. I put it out there. Everything's out there. I mean, except for the workshop stuff, but most people have gotten some of that stuff. Now put it to the test and let it work. Like Neville said, put it to the test. Neville found the kingdom. He was an apostle. He was called. I feel like the same thing happened to me. I was called, and you'll feel the same way. See, when the Holy Spirit starts to come and you start to lean in, then it just guides you like all the way to the revelation after revelation after revelation after revelation. And you start to see through the whole matrix, and you start to see that it's all fake. All this stuff out here is not even there. It's a dead carcass. And you start to realize with spiritual eyes that everything is a thought universe, and that God's thoughts are the only truth, and everything else is an abomination to God. And then you start reflecting back God's qualities to him, and you start to see that it's an electrical circuit, and it's all conducting, and it's all flowing again. See, that's what they call it, being in the flow. It has to do with electricity. It has to do with how you're flowing qualities back to God, or you're disconnected, which means you broke connection in some form of ignorance. So we're going to bring it back. We're bringing it back. So Andrea says, will you have a pastoral course? Well, Andrea, if by some chance you came and got trained at the Spiritual Special Forces workshop, I'd say you could take that training and you could pretty much run a pastoral course on anything you wanted. All right. We don't need a typical structure that they have in most of the typical churches, right? I mean, they have so much infrastructure like an organization that I understand running. If you've got 25,000 members, you got to run like that. I get that. But if you want to just start spreading the message, and you want to live the message so you can be prosperous on all levels of your life, you can just take the teachings and start pastoring people yourself. See what I'm saying? You can just start teaching people, because that's the only way you're ever going to remember any of this stuff. You must teach it or you won't remember it. That's why I get up here week after week. I could take off right now. I could be done. I could just be done. I'm fine with being done in terms of like, hey, it's less time that I actually got to be in front of this camera. I'm good with that. But I can't be done because here's the thing. You see, This is why what blesses one blesses all. You see, this is part of the principle. It's like this. I challenge you to go manifest like $10 million or $100 million and stop giving. Stop giving. Watch what happens. You'll realize that I'm poor. You'll still feel so poor because the minute you stop giving, you stop living. That's the whole point. Giving is living. You can't hold on to anything. It's all spirit. Spirit meets every human need. So I can't learn this stuff without giving. I have to keep giving it. I have to. Otherwise, I won't be able to get to the next level. It's like I'll be stuck on what I learned 3 years ago, thinking that was it. Like, wow, I have no reason to learn anymore. I haven't poured it out. See, you pour it out. You pour it out. So you got money problems. Guess what? It's because you're not pouring it out. You're scared. You're scared. You're holding back. You're afraid. That's it. This is my last $1,000. That's it. You see, you know how crazy that is to say that this is your last, whatever you think you have. I don't care if it's your last $1 million. You know how petty that is? The spirit of God lives in you. It's your imagination. It's the kingdom of spirit. If you can't create that in your imagination, engender it in your feeling place, and walk from it and trust God 100% that God will fill every human need, well, then you don't have the kingdom. So that you better hold on to that. And if that's the case, you better hold on to that. And you should go crawl under a rock and hide it, because the world's going to come take it from you. They're going to come take it from you one way or the other. Taxes, attorney fees, living costs. They're going to get it one way or the other. See, that's why you can't put your faith in that world. You can't trust in those riches. Those riches have wings. That's what the Bible says. The riches of spirit are eternal, and they pour out like water over Niagara, always flowing, always meeting every human need, always and forever, divine love meeting every human need. And making that connection with God makes you richer than you could ever dream of, because now it's not you anymore, it's God. And once God is taking charge of all of it, well, then what do? Well, increase your vision and your provision will increase. Boom. Just like that, you'll go from being, I don't know, a little 150,000 a year, 200,000 a year, whatever it is, to whatever your provision you want to change the world. Be a billionaire, be a multimillionaire, just stay where you're at if you're happy, but do something for God and watch how God does something for you is what I'm saying. Do something for God and watch how God does something for you. And that's the real secret. And you know what? That's why I don't like to go to all these other workshops. Unless they're teaching the principles of God, it's all just retarded, if you ask me. It's stupid. It's so stupid. I go to all these workshops, and I swear to God, if somebody gives me another like ridiculous thing to do where I just can't do it anymore. I just can't do it. Because unless they're teaching God, they're teaching stupidity, because God is what is real. Everything else, there's no power in men. There's no power in anything man does. None. And so I can't do it. I can't do it. You know, I could easily build 1 million subscribers on YouTube. I know how to do all this stuff, but I can't sell my soul. I don't care if I only have 35 people that ever watch me, as long as I'm telling the truth and as long as I know what I know. Yeah, I can go make videos on just dumb stuff, because people love that stuff. Dumb stuff all day long. Look what's trending. Just watch it. It's all just a series of dumb stuff. And you get 1 million, 2 million, 5 million. I mean, I built a group on 1 meal a day. It's just a little thing. I'm not even passionate about it, but it's got 10,000 members in like a few months. It'll have 100, 200, 300,000. You see, this is the thing. It's the thing. There's never a crowd at the leading edge. Never. So here's the deal. If you want to be on the leading edge, then you better go find a hidden pocket, because all the great ones that I've ever learned from, all the great ones were never on the leading edge. Never. You know, you go to rooms where there's 5,000 people in those audiences. I've never ever gotten from those audience, never from those teachings, ever, anything that's been substantial in my entire existence. I've gotten little ideas that have got me feeling hopeful, But isn't it ironic? Unless it was taught by a minister, they've never taught you about God. It's so crazy. They never teach you about that. I don't know why they don't do that. I spent a whole decade wasting my life following all the ideas of men. So what I'm telling you is the Gnostic texts make this so simple. The ideas of mortals are useless. If you identify as a mortal, okay, if you identify as a flesh meat suit and you think that your human brain has logical reasoning and all this and that, and you put all your stock value in that, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to at all, unless it's something mechanical that has to be done for some sort of project. But if we're talking about something that's going to change me from the inside out, a mortal idea is never going to do that. Only wisdom will do that. Only God can do that. And so God's put me through too many challenges that I've had to, run away from all those teachings. Like, there hasn't been one single mortal I've ever run into that taught me how to walk away from Lyme disease, but God did. See, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. So Casey says, Jesus talks about this with his disciples, and God has given you unto me also when he said, you must eat my body, and everyone walked away because it was a hard teaching. Absolutely. That's it. Absolutely. Because they had to lay down their life out there to follow him, and they weren't willing to do it. They're too caught up in it. They're too caught up in it. Oh man, I'll tell you what, I am so looking forward to the day. I am just so looking forward to the day. What I want to see is I really do. I want to see all of this. Well, let's just put it this way. I don't have to tell you what I want to see. You'll see what I want, because when it becomes known, you'll know exactly where my heart was. So mark this day, because it's not just me. What I'm telling you is that there's something that's going to happen, and it's huge. It's like huge. It's going to be huge. I can't talk like Donald Trump, but it's going to be huge. And God's doing it, and I'm going to let God just let me watch him do it. And that's really a big secret right there too, is when you know that you're actually not doing it and God's doing it and you're just along for the ride. Well, then God's like, oh, thank you. Finally, I got you off the wheel. Now I can take over. And so, yeah, it's coming, and you'll see it. And you'll see it soon. So, yeah, the greatest teacher is the one inside. That's correct, Sasha. Welcome, Jenny. All right, guys. Well, I've babbled for a full hour. So again, I do recommend, like I said, the workshop, thankfully, is already sold out, but we are opening it up. I am going to pay to have it live streamed. I've got a camera crew coming to make a really, really nice digital product, because this will be my most advanced workshop. This one is so technical. I honestly think if you should do it, you should be here to do it. So I've opened up an additional 15 spots. And I know that I'm going to, basically close out all those 15 spots. Those will all be taken soon too, before we get to February 1st. So I would take a spot and get the buy one, get one if you want it. And, be here if you can. People have come from Australia. They've come from the UK. They've come from all over the world to take these workshops. I would recommend doing it. Okay. And if you've taken my workshop before, don't assume you're going to get the same workshop, because this one's going to be like very, very different. The teaching is all different except for self-entrainment technique, but everything else is completely different. So come prepared and get ready, because we're going to rock it hard on February 13th. And you're going to learn from some powerful people, not just myself. There's going to be other teaching going on there. You're going to learn from some great, great people. And the most important thing that I believe will happen to you if you decide to do this workshop is you're going to get a moment where it's going to click for you. And you're going to realize what I've done when I put this together. And you're going to think, the strangest thing that's going to happen to you is you're going to probably want to just be like, how come I didn't think of that? How did I not know it was that easy? Okay. And that's what I'm telling you. At the end of it, you're probably going to wonder how you did not know it was that easy. I mean, really, I could say, ask believing in your heart that you receive, and all these things shall be brought unto your life, right? Or whatever you want to say about that scripture, right? But the question is, how do you get there? How do you get there to believe in your heart? How do you do it? I believe I've discovered how you do it. I believe I have. I believe it's really easy. I believe it's actually, I don't know. You just way too overthought, way too overdone. But the payoff, what's the payoff? What's the payoff? Well, if I were looking at spending a couple grand to a workshop, I'd split it up with someone else and I'd bring a partner and I'd say, great, we got cheap hotel rooms are $139 a night. It's not $300. The usual price is $300. This is ultra luxury hotel. This is the cat's meow. This is where you want to be. I'd say, shoot, they got a Navy SEAL coming. I've always wanted to learn from a Navy SEAL. This training is going to be off the chain. I know I'm going to go. I'm going to be there. I'd grab somebody, celebrate Valentine's, come party with us. Got a live band coming. We've got a whole dinner set up. We've got all sorts of good stuff set up for you. Okay. I would come, and then you know what I would do? I would turn that into a multi-million-dollar empire. That's what I personally would do. I don't know what you'll do with it. I don't know if you'll do anything about it. I really don't. And it's sad because I know the reason why some people can't come is because they can't financially put the means together to do it. And that's heartbreaking. And that's why I made 259 free videos on YouTube that basically address every basic level of how to break out of that level of discomfort in your financial affairs. And I believe that those videos contain every answer you need on how to break through from that terribly low level of financial freedom. I remember being there. It's not comfortable at all. When fear is surrounding your finances every single day, that's not any way to live at all, ever. So the place to start for that would be the 3-2-1 prosperity formula at my website, MatthewDavidHurtado.com. The 3-2-1 prosperity formula is the place to start if you can't swing a workshop like this, realistically. Okay, and the reason why is it's simple. 3, tithing. It'll change your life if you know what you're doing. And I'm saying this, that you need to be childlike again when you do it. I made a video. It's my son. It's on the group wall here. He's been tithing and he's manifested a $5,000 computer, a $5,000 camera, $150 Lego sets all day, every day. Now he just upgraded. You know, he's living up in the ministry here in a much bigger room part-time. He comes over here or he goes back. I mean, he's like living on cloud 9, but he gives childlike innocence. He knows God's doing it all. See, he knows God's doing it all, and he follows his joy. 3-2-1, non-judgment. Number 2, follow your joy. Number 3, in every moment. And his life is becoming magic because he's living according to God, the way God set it up. And you could do that yourself, but most adults, they reason so much, they just can't get out of their head. You know, they can't let go of that little $30 tithe, $300 tithe, $3,000 tithe, you know, whatever. I mean, whatever it is, they don't recognize the honor factor that God is just asking for you to lay down this whole world, and the tithe is the perfect way to do it. Eventually, you're going to lay the whole thing down. You know, your tithe is really, the tithe is really on many levels. The tithe is really your whole life. The tithe is your whole life. If you want to look at what it really is on the grandest scope, is you need to lay down your whole life for God. But you could just start with a small 10% of your finances and see that God will clean that mess up for you. And when God will clean that mess up for you, then you can realize, well, shoot, maybe I can trust my well-being to God too. Maybe I don't really have to identify as a physical being anymore. Hey, you know what? I wonder what would happen with this illness if I just didn't fear at all. If I had no fear and I knew God was possible to do anything and I trusted God 100%, I wonder what would happen. I wonder what would happen. Well, I guess you'll never know until you get that heart condition. And that's why it says in Malachi 3:10, it says, God says, prove me now. He's asking you to test him. Test him. And where does he want you to test him? With your finances, when it's the hardest thing for you to accomplish in this life, next to your health for some people. And he's saying, look, if you can trust me in that area, you can probably trust me in other areas too. And eventually your whole life. And that's the ultimate form of tithe. And I pray that God will let me just walk in that and live in that position, that I can lay down all of it, and just walk in the freedom of that spiritual reality, knowing that God is forever all in all, that I never have to take any thought for my life. I can just flow, and I can trust, and I can flow and trust and flow and trust and flow and trust and flow and trust and flow and trust. And all these things will be made right because God never intended me to carry that burden. So I'll leave you guys with that. That's enough talking for tonight. Hopefully you got something out of this. Just leave me some comments on the board and let me know if you liked the transmission tonight. I see you, Gustavo and Dennis and Susan. And who else? Trisha's here. And Matt Smith. All right, well, it's been a pleasure again. I got to get to the gym, and I got to get this run done and keep going after these goals. So you guys take care. Love you, and I'll see you in a week.
Hello, I'm Julie with Allow Ministries on behalf of Matthew David Hurtado. Are you ready to end self-sabotage, procrastination, and distraction? Clarity, certainty, and a proven plan of action is what it takes to get anything you want in life. Training is the answer. Matthew David Hurtado's Spiritual Millionaire Workshop is the one-step solution that finally puts you in control of your destiny. What Matthew discovered about building a 7-figure business and perfect well-being when he was bedridden and bankrupt with Lyme disease is that mentorship is success without the wait. It works. At allowuniversity.com, you'll discover how to walk in victory. Learn how to prosper in every area with unstoppable daily habits and a step-by-step training to build your dream business immediately following the event, a success training for a lifetime of achievement. Walk in financial increase, living a life you love. Go to allowuniversity.com and say yes to your destiny.